Do you know one of Africa's most lucrative or extraordinary art space is right here in Tamale? It was founded by one of the renowned international artists, Ibrahim Mahama. This is a place where history, art, and culture come together. This place, there's a lot of history behind here. And I'm Ike from Ike Studios, and today we'll be discovering some of the hidden stories behind Red Clay Studio. Right here at Red Clay Studio, we'll be talking to one of the guys who will take us through. Let's go.
Welcome to Red Clay, and my name is Labran. And then this is a personal studio of Ibrahim Mahama. So in this particular studio, we exhibit his works, and he also gives the opportunity to individual artists to also showcase their works. But it's a personal studio where he creates his works. We're going on a tour so that we get to show you some of the things that we have in here. So this particular space in general is an archival space where we kind of dedicate for objects which has a trace of history with them.
Okay.
So looking at this particular ones here, we have this particular marks, which happens to be marks which were worn by hunters as a form of a camouflage. So in case they're going for hunting, as they use it to kind of lure birds.
Okay.
So their main aim were to hunt to feed farmers. Their target were these water birds which could actually feed their families, like bigger ones which they were aiming for.
Okay.
So West African hunters used to kind of make these marks, especially the Malians and other neighboring countries like Ghana and Nigeria.
Wow.
So also have these pump lamps. So these ones they used to actually pump them before the lights could be generated.
Okay.
And then we have a scroll. So this particular one, there are scrolls which he made using materials that they use in roofing the space, and some of the leathers from trains from Eastern Germany, payrolls from Gihok and other collage factories of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Wow.
So some of them date back in the 70s, some in 1996, 2000s, and many other payrolls and fast found in here. And then you have this one, which is a miner's lamp. It was used for mining some years ago. And then we have some cement papers from the early construction phase of the institution. So as the cement companies changes their way of packaging, trying to come this wouldn't be here. So this is a way of preserving it for the newer generations. I have some railway locks. So with these locks, they're over 2 centuries. Yeah, 200 years. So they had a special way of preserving it, which prevents insects and other termites from feeding on them. And then over here we have this work of Ibrahim, which consists of rocks. And then let's walk.
This is actually my interest because I can see different kinds of rocks.
Yeah, so we actually have rocks, but the other one, there are glasses. There are glasses, the residue of glasses from Aboso Glass Factory. So Aboso was one of the factories that was commissioned by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So they used to produce the Chanel bottles, the Coca-Cola bottles, the 5-Up, and many other bottles. So this was his way of reducing the consumption or dependency rate of the foreign goods in Ghana here. So they used to produce all that, but later on the factory collapsed, so all this were to be buried or sold to jewelry makers.
Wow.
So he then had the opportunity to actually get them and then brought them into this state. So without his intervention, these ones here would have been sold to jewelry makers, as I said. They could have used to produce certain jewelries that you find interest in as it is made in Ghana, but you don't know the kind of history that has been destroyed to actually make those jewelries. So it being here serves as a medium where people could actually get to learn about the history of Ghana and also the vision and mission of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And then the rocks here were mined in Europe, brought into the Gold Coast to build churches. So their main purpose were used as balance. When the European sailors used to move into the Gold Coast, they put it into the ships when they get to the Gold Coast, they pick them off, load minerals or humans. So that's when the locals will now pick them, use them to build homes and churches. So if you are kind of observant, you get to see that some of the old homes and churches were actually built with these rocks. So you can find most of them even in Tamale here and also in Accra. And then over here we have this one which has to do with canvases. So this canvases was used as parts in producing ties.
Was used to produce.
Were used as parts, like they use it in producing ties.
Okay. Okay.
So
Is it the
sometimes
ties?
ties like car ties,
Okay.
motorbike
Okay.
ties.
Okay. Okay.
So sometimes if a tie wears out, you get to see that something like this kind of come out.
Sure.
So
Sure. Sure.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah had a tie factory called the Bonsa Tie Factory. So at Bonsa they used to produce all those. So if you are standing closer to this particular canvas, you can smell the residue, the rubber which were used as a raw material in producing them. You can smell it and other details which comes out of them. So with this ones they were um, buried, but Ibrahim had the opportunity to actually excavate them and now introduce them into the space. So you can see the wear and tear, the the stains of rubber on this particular canvas over here.
So all of this is that slave trade or
Yeah, so this
the
one's
symbolized slave.
is a series of drawings which it has to do with the trains. So the trains that you see outside originally they are from Eastern Germany.
Okay.
So they found their way into the Railway Institute back in Second Takrady. So back in the Gold Coast. So when they brought them in, they used to come to the Northern Territory. The Northern Territory back then wasn't classified as part of the Gold Coast.
Okay.
So they had labor works from the Northern Territory, but none of the trains have never been to the Northern Territory. So Ibrahim, as an artist, was interested in the history of the trains that actually made him to go get them into the space. So when he got them, he had series of experiments where he engaged individuals like this particular one here, where they were carrying the railway line. So from their facial expression, you could easily tell the pain, the struggle that the men went through just to build the railway system in Second Takrady and
Wow.
in the Gold Coast.
Wow.
So he drew them on invoices. So these invoices, they are invoices from Gihok. So with these invoices, some of them date back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s as well.
Oh. Wow.
Actually, the rain has fallen. So so this
Are you on? Okay.
so this particular space, we have different work altogether, which is titled Capital Corpses.
Capital.
Capital corpses. So
Okay.
capital as in finance.
Okay.
So these materials are old machines, old dexes. So we all are familiar with these machines, which they use in sewing dresses and other things in general, bags and all that. So with these sewing machines, he's much interested in the sounds that it generates, but not its ability to stitch. So if you observe, we kind of mounted some black motors attached to this machine. So we randomly just place them, which enables it to kind of propel. So it's connected with electricity and also some keys here. So it enables it to propel, which generates these unique sounds. And the Dexys too are interested in the designs of them, which are the designs that the British made to introduce formal education to this part of the world. So this has been exhibited in Manchester, where it worked with sensor. So immediately you trip into the space, the machine starts to propel. But with this, he made it in the form of keys, where you could actually play with them.
Whoa.
Why?
Let me try it. Wow.
Uh-huh. That's it for this particular space. We have this ones which are stretches.
Okay.
So stretches, um, normally people are familiar with it in football games. When you see a footballer being injured in the pitch, they kind of
Okay.
use it to
Okay.
stretch
Okay. Okay.
people.
Sure.
So it's a carrier which they normally hold the handles, and then, like two people can use
I
it to
see.
carry a person. But this particular one here happens to be the ones that they were using in the Second World War to carry
Wow.
the injured
The injured.
militiamen. So the greener ones are actually the originals. So he had them from Greece.
Greece.
Greece, yes. So they contain human remains like blood, sweat of the militiamen. So when he had those, he then decided to make replicas. So the replica ones, he went in for some cotton fabrics from fishmongers, some tarpaulins from mechanics. So normally when they use them to ply their trade for some time, it absorbs what it has been exposed to. Like with this fishermen, fishmongers, they use them to cover barrels, smoke fish with them. So it absorbs the oil, water, smoke from the wood and all that, and the fish oil. So as they prolong uses it, it gets to become darker, like they smell like the fish and the smoke and all that. So he's much interested in those details. And then the tarpaulins of the mechanics too, they spread on the floor, work on engines on them. So the oil engines, the oil from the engines kind of drops on the canvases
Okay.
where you get to see them stained with the oil. So they too, they normally prolong use this particular um, canvases. So with this particular ones, as the weather conditions also react, and you get to see that they develop the cracks.
Sure. Sure.
And
Sure.
also,
Wow.
there are stretchers which were used in the Second World War, but he made replicas in addition. So the replica ones, he made them in Accra and then got the originals from Greece. So he has exhibited this in Brazil and then later on brought them back into the space. So the originals are about 100 pieces of them.
Okay. Okay.
And then if you could remember, I showed you the drawing that relates to the trains.
The
So
twins.
you can see an activity happening here where you could actually see a group of men and women pulling a train here. So it was part of the series of experiment that I was talking of. So this happened in the space where he engaged them to actually drag a train, which they did. They were paid to do so. So with this one, he decided to actually develop into a form of black and white. And these guys here are bodybuilders. So they were assisting in assembling the railway line. So the metal that they are holding, that's the railway line.
Okay.
It's very heavy. And they're wearing this hat, which symbolizes labor. They're hats which are normally made and worn by masons to do construction works and all that. And then we have this huge installation here, which has to do with the shoemaker boxes. I know this one, you are familiar with
Oh,
them. It's
shoemaker
a
box. Boom,
shoemaker.
boom, 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 boom.
So it's it also serves as a drum for the shoemakers and all that. So
Wow.
he had most of them from individual shoemakers, made some, and also exhibited the same piece in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So in Brazil, these particular boxes were made. So if you look at those designs of them, they are quite different from what we are familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So um, he he later on, after the exhibition in Brazil, he brought them into the space where we now decided to actually add them in expanding this work. So the work, the title is Non-Orientable Cancer. Non-Orientable Cancer. And
In
cancer then,
cancer.
yeah, the name, like Ojo Cancer.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So it's non-orientable. So if I say I'm non-orientable, I mean like it's a work which in installing it. He doesn't actually want it to be in a unique pattern where, for example, this box is aligned this way, the next should actually align that way. He, he actually create the freedom of the one who is to actually install the work to actually have a role to play in the work. So the theme of the work is labor, labor work. So if you could get the memory right, in the early 21st century, this was a big means of employment for the youth, where you could actually see individuals roaming, mending people's shoes, hitting the boxes as a form of awareness creation and all that. And this cabinet from the Railway Institute, the institute that I talked about earlier on from secondary. So they used to keep documents in this, shavings from the hills of the trains. So with the hills of those trains, they are normally shaped as it runs on the railway line. You know, they are all metals, so it wears out. So it will reach to a point where it doesn't align with the railway line. They have to actually shave it off because it's not a rubber tie that they need to actually change. So this is a way of preserving those memory of those trains over here. So we added details. You can see the tokens which they use beneath the sole to reduce the wearing out of the shoe.
There's a lot of history here.
Yeah. So we also have this collection of photographs. It was taken by a photographer called James Banner.
James Banner.
James Banner. So he's from Jamestown. He was the personal photographer for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So he was one of the early photojournalists, color photojournalists in Ghana here. So this company, Ajib, they are now go when they were new to the Ghanaian market, they needed patronage. They needed people to actually know about them. So they had James taking some shots for some advertisements. So they took some of them at the petroleum station, some of them at the railway station. So these images that we are seeing here, they were in black and white, but later on retouched to actually get the colors out of them. So his brother used to be a locomotive driver. That's where he had the opportunity to take some shots at the Railway Institute. And then the lady that you see in these images were actually his personal models. So he had them play a role as full attendants in these images over here.
Wow. Materials, tie and dye.
Yeah, so with this one, it has to do with textiles. So we combine different textile prints. We have the Hollandy print, the GTP, and all that. So with this one here, let me show you. So these are GTP prints, and this is Hollandaise. So the artist pays attention to the root of one of these textiles, which is the Hollandy print, which were made by the Dutch in the 18th century. So with this print here, it was later on introduced into the West African market in Africa here, where a lot of people actually admire the colors and what they stood for. But they initially drew inspiration out of the Indonesian print back in the 18th century. So they developed it for their own markets, but it wasn't getting that much attention. So they introduced into this market where people loved it, and now it's much more like a universal print where you could get to see a lot of people wearing it to different areas. So a complete piece of this work can actually extend all the way to the end of this particular wall. Kind of website, so they need to. So all these ones were brought from secondary Takrady. They have never been any.
So how? But wait, how do you manage to transport them?
So we use trailers, the low bed.
Okay.
So with this one, they use almost 1 week to transport them. So he had to get professionals to actually come from secondary to actually build this railway line.
Wow.
So these are the first railway lines in the northern part of Ghana here.
Wow.
Yes. And we have some pots which we'll be using for future projects. So this is a way of preserving them.
I see.
Will be used as a greenhouse.
Greenhouse.
Greenhouse for farming and all that.
Okay.
So for now we have these glasses, some Schnapp bottles, Malta Guinness, 5 up and more. So it's from the bottle glass factory that I was talking of
Okay.
earlier on. So these are bottles that they made, but they never use them. So they are unused bottles from
Aboso.
Aboso Glass Factory.
Okay.
So Ibrahim had the opportunity to actually collect them and bring them over here. So he decided to actually develop a wall of crates of bottles with it. So you can see a big wall made of crates of bottles over the space.
So with this, it has no way of falling.
No, it's very stable. It's very stable. And then this section of the greenhouse will be like a sitting area in the greenhouse where people could actually sit around. And then this is the raw material rubber which they use in producing the ties at the tie factory of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the Bonsa tie.
Wow.
So it reacts with the weather. It's from the plant. So it reacts with the weather. When the sun is scorchy, it kind of melts. It's very sticky. Uh-huh. Okay. As I said earlier, we brought them with trailers. So these ones are coaches. It's just like the buses that they actually transport. They used to transport people. So it's spacious. You can go in.
Yeah.
It's
So
even
let's see
nice
what is inside.
they have your they are always holding the camera. How spacious this. So this could be converted into um, a guest spaces, guest houses,
Wow.
uh, where people could actually stay. But Ibrahim can decide to actually transform it into a different space altogether.
I
So
see.
in the future, as you are visiting here, you get to learn and see what we are to transform this into.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Today is my first time of entering
A
train.
train. They hold about.
Hey!
Be careful. One of the planes has been converted into a classroom.
I see.
Yeah. So it's a classroom where it's a space which we do workshop for kids. So we normally bus kids from the rural communities, even sometimes schools that can't afford to actually get transportation to the space. We use
Okay.
our own bus to actually help them get to the space. So when they come, we don't just want them to just see the planes and return, but we want them to actually get some knowledge, impact some knowledge into them. So
You guys are
that's
really
why,
doing a lot of work that people don't even know about.
yeah,
Imagine transporting people from locals, bringing
yeah, from
Charlie.
remote communities and all that. So with the planes, the same way we transported them from Accra using the trailers, but we took off the wings and brought them over here.
Wow. So let's say this place has how old will it be if you want to estimate how old will
Oh,
it
I
be?
can't be stopped. They are very old.
Wow. Wow.